Johnson will give a speech after he officially takes office. It's been a busy day. We're going to carry all of this live for you here as it develops. Then this afternoon, he has an open house planned at City Hall and at Daley Plaza, where he and the city's First Lady will greet the public. Then tonight, Johnson will join supporters at the People's Ball at the UIC Forum. He already had one event this morning at 9 a.m., so there's a long list of things. They're going to be tired by the end of the day.
They are. Yeah. Right now, let's go to Dane Placco, who is live inside the Credit Union 1 Arena with a look at the action that's happening there right now. Hey, Dane.
Hey there. Yeah, doors opened here about 8:30 this morning, and a fairly large crowd already in place. We did get a program just a short time ago. You can't tell the players without a scorecard, so I'm going to read to you just what's going to happen here and in what order. Off the top, there's going to be some music, dance performance, a presentation of colors, the Pledge of Allegiance, a national anthem, the Black national anthem, an invocation, poetry reading, blessing, then the city clerk oath of office, the aldermanic oath of office, the city treasurer's oath of office, and finally the a prayer for peace and guidance, and then the mayor's oath of office, followed by a benediction. That should carry us at least till noon, if not past the noon hour. I'm going to step out of the frame here and let you take a look at what's going on here right now. You can see a lot of chairs set up on the floor here at the pavilion. Those are seats reserved largely for volunteers on the near end where you're looking. The far end is where Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson's family and friends will be sitting. There's also seating on the floor for the other elected officials who are going to be sworn in here today. The aldermen are going to be on stage. Perhaps you can see those black seats, those chairs behind the podium back there. That is where all 50 Chicago aldermen who are going to be sworn in here today will be sitting for this event. It is filling up fairly quickly. There's still a few seats available that I can see. They're only using the first level of this building. There is a second level, a balcony. Well, I do see some people sitting up there now. It had been closed off earlier, so perhaps that's an indication that they're opening up to more from the public. Now, a short time ago, we did have an opportunity to take a closer look at exactly what's going to happen here today. Let's take a look at that.
Time for Chicago to come alive. Come alive, Chicago. My name is Brandon Johnson, and I can't wait to be sworn in as the next mayor of the greatest city in the world.
It's been nearly 6 weeks since Chicago elected Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson as mayor. And over that time, Johnson has been building an administration that will take the city's reins. Johnson is set to be sworn in at a ceremony starting at 10:30 at the Credit Union 1 Arena. That's the former UIC Pavilion. Tickets are sold out, but there is an online wait list. Those with tickets can begin entering the arena at 8:30 a.m., and those attending are encouraged to arrive early to get through security. Then at 2 o'clock, there will be an open house at City Hall. People can line up outside the mayor's 5th floor office to meet Johnson and members of his staff. The new mayor won't have much time to celebrate, though. He's inheriting a city in dire financial straits and will immediately have to deal with the problem of thousands of migrants bused to Chicago, straining the city's resources. Johnson will also be under pressure to quickly choose a new Chicago police superintendent. Former Mayor Rahm Emanuel, now U.S. ambassador to Japan, offered his best wishes to the new mayor via Twitter.
Mayor Johnson, I'm rooting hard for your success. I want every Chicagoan rooting for our new mayor's success, because it's really simple. Mayor Johnson's success is our entire city's success. Let us come together on behalf of our shared future.
And as I mentioned before, a lot of the people here today are people that work as volunteers on the Johnson campaign, are being rewarded with a floor ticket to the event. Among those, Esmeralda Hernandez and Sarah Heyman, who I spoke to just a short time ago. Tell me what you guys are doing here today. How did you get here?
Well, I was the Southwest Regional Coordinator for Brandon Johnson, and so we were knocking on doors and making phone calls and texts and the whole 9 yards. So that's how we got here, so that's why I'm here right now.
You got a ticket on the floor.
That's right.
And you?
I volunteered many hours, many cold and nice days away from family, and we're here. All the hard work paid off.
Yeah, what do you think when you look around this room and see that it's happening?
Hopeful, lots of love, lots of sweat and tears, and lots of sacrifice to get here.
And you?
When I look around, I see potential. I see that we could pass a lot of the things that we've been fighting for years, like Bring Home Chicago, rent control, just cause for eviction, and in our community of Little Village, getting environmental justice. So very excited about that, and it just feels good.
It should be a fun inauguration.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Got it. Thank you both very much. All right, that again, Esmeralda Hernandez and Sarah Heyman, both residents of the Little Village neighborhood who are here this morning. I should also mention there is a heavy Chicago police presence here, heavy security. They are using magnetometers to sweep the people entering this arena. Still a lot of people outside. That's why they were telling people to get here early, because there is a process to get into this building. But people are arriving, they're finding their seats, and the event should be getting underway. The inauguration should be starting in less than a half hour now. Back to you.
Dane, thank you. We are all hands on deck today, as you can see here. All of this taking place at Credit Union 1 Arena. And we still have Joni Lum there as people are arriving. Joni, I believe they open up the doors there at 8:30 this morning.
Definitely, and there were people who were in line before the doors opened up at 8:30, and if you arrived at 10 o'clock, 30 minutes early, still not early enough, because what a crowd we have outside here at the Credit Union 1 Arena at UIC. The supporters of Brandon Johnson are very excited about this day. To them, this day represents hope for the city, new ideas with the new administration. In attendance are other elected officials, the alder people elected to represent the city of Chicago, clergy, and also a solid representation of people from the West Side. Now, Brandon Johnson made a stop on his way to the Credit Union 1 Arena, Michelle Clark High School on the West Side. Johnson is an educator. He worked for the Chicago Teachers Union. He's focused on youth and making the city better for them. Some of the attendees today are affiliated with that union and the others that endorse Johnson. The former president of the CTU noted that Chicago now has a mayor from the West Side.
There's a lot of economic dislocation, divestment in that community. A lot of violence in the surrounding neighborhoods. The problem of guns, and I think that it reflects his commitment and his care about the people who live in that neighborhood, and by extension, the people who live all over the city of Chicago.
And some of the other officials who are here noted that there's a lot of hope placed on Brandon Johnson today, but it's up to everyone in the city to contribute to make the city better. I talked to Alderman Walter Burnett, who today becomes the senior most alderman in the city council. Not the oldest, he pointed out, but the senior member of city council. We were talking about how he has served under 4 mayors. This is another day where they all take the oath and they swear to represent the city. He says that he recommits to the city every day, but a lot of people will be doing it for the first time, and others second or third time recommitting their service to the city of Chicago, along with Brandon Johnson, the new mayor. Reporting live, I'm Joni Lum. Now back to you.
Thanks so much, Joni. Okay, joining us now is somebody who this isn't his first rodeo. Political editor Mike Flannery joining us now. This makes inauguration number what for you that you've been covering?
Well, there have been 10 mayors that I've covered. The first one I covered was Richard J. Daley. I covered his final campaign in 1974 and 75, and then he, of course, passed away. And Mike Bolandic ended up becoming mayor, then Jane Byrne, then she lost to Harold Washington, then there was Eugene Sawyer, well, actually there was also for 5 days David
That's
Orr
right.
in there. They've
oh
got
my gosh,
his
he
picture
is
up there.
going back.
So yeah, there were 10 of them.
10 of them. Okay,
well, this is number 10.
Okay, so let's talk about what makes today's inauguration different with Brandon Johnson in all that you have covered over the years. Anything?
Well, he's the youngest mayor since Richard M. Daley first took office. Daley was also age 47 when he took office. And, I think like Daley, Brandon Johnson has an opportunity to be in the mayor's office for a very long time. Daley had a strong political base. It was multiracial and multicultural. He had allies in every part of the city. He inherited he inherited at least some of the old regular Democratic organization that his father so famously was in charge of for 6 terms. But Johnson has a different sort of base. It's worth remembering that he got into the runoff based on a majority of his voters were actually North Side white voters from you know, the hipster highway along Milwaukee Avenue up heading towards the northwest side, and then white voters on the far north lakefront as well. He then swept the black wards in the runoff election. But the political clout he's got is that machine that's been built. Jesse Sharkey, you saw, the former president of the teachers union there, and his successor, she has been big behind Johnson, dubbed him the Michael Jordan of politics. But the Chicago Teachers Union, with a multi-million-dollar political war chest, the ability to put thousands of foot soldiers into the field, the ability to affect things during times of tense debate, not reluctant to spill out into the street and you know, shut down the loop as they've done in the past during political fights with Rahm Emanuel and with Lori Lightfoot. So that machine, that political organization, is now with Brandon Johnson, and he's potentially going to be there for quite a while, I think.
You know, when you give a lot of the background, the lead up to how we got to today, his predecessors, is it true, is it possible for someone to truly be transformative at this point? Because there are so many issues that didn't start today that are still around. Is it possible for somebody to be transformative? I saw one of
there have been lots of people, Anita, writing about these inaugural addresses and mayors going back to Richard J. Daley. And in their inaugural addresses, there's always 2 things that they talk about: the schools, and one way or another, violent crime, the loss of population, the shrinking of Chicago. For 50 years, that's been a dominant theme of every mayor. And indeed, if you think about it, you know, we haven't made a whole lot of progress. There are very powerful forces at work, and the idea that a mayor necessarily can be transformative about that, I think, may be overblown. But Johnson has promised to do that, has promised that he's going to deliver on that. You know, we'll see. The other thing that I think is worth bearing in mind is that he didn't, you know, 4 years ago, Lori Lightfoot had won all 50 wards. She had won more than 2,000 precincts. Tony Preckwinkle, she only lost 20 precincts to Tony Preckwinkle. This was a very narrow victory by Brandon Johnson, only about 26,000 votes in a very low turnout. So I think he's well aware of that, and he has talked about how he wants to unite the city and not divide the city. The kind of transformations that he's promised, though, in terms of $800 million in new taxes that would fund a lot of the social spending, those are without a doubt divisive. They've already divided him from the Democratic governor of Illinois. J.B. Pritzker has said he has absolutely ruled out the tax on the big exchanges downtown, the CME Group, and Terry Duffy, the head of CME Group, which by some counts is responsible for maybe 100,000 jobs in the city, 100,000 good-paying jobs in the city. He has, Duffy did an interview that Bloomberg is reporting on this morning, in which he sends a message to Brandon Johnson. He says, you know, we have sold all of our property. They no longer own any buildings, the CME Group here. They have, in all their leases, they have a clause that says if there are negative developments at the city or state level, including taxes, they their leases are null and void. Terry Duffy today, Bloomberg reporting, says we can leave Chicago like that.
Wow.
And that's a message to Brandon Johnson.
So let's talk about that, because during the campaign, he made a lot of promises, as anyone who obviously is running for office does. And one of the things he talked about, he's been referred to as kind of having a holistic approach to how to deal with some of the issues that our city is currently having. As you said, the governor has already said no go on this tax for, the trading. And there are other taxes he talked about. He talked about the head tax.
He talked about $100 million in user fees on North Michigan Avenue, which last time I looked at a 30%, 35% vacancy rate.
So now that he's actually going to be in office today, what do you expect we're going to hear about in his speech? Will he maybe be addressing some of these things that people were expecting him to put forward?
Well, I think he has... Look, he has spent, it's been a great transition. It's been a brilliant transition. This nearly 6 weeks since he was declared the winner. He has been reaching out. He's kept up a steady pace of public appearances. He has met with business leaders. He's met with a number of folks. I think he's going to work well with the city council. He is a democratic socialist. He's on the left wing of the Democratic Party. He's going to have to reach out. He's going to need the council and at least 26 votes in the council, or 25 votes since he can cast the tie-breaking vote, to get some of the controversial things through. We'll see in the speech today, perhaps, what he's proposing. I'll tell you this. If he can get the violence down, if he can bring that under control, I think he'll be reelected by acclamation, no matter what else he does.
Well, that in and of itself is a big job, and we know he has a big decision to make with the superintendent coming up. We'll be right back. So much more to talk about on this Inauguration Day. We'll be back after this.
Get their clients more money fast. This is their promise. They don't get paid until you win. Steve's other weekend promise? Well, there's always Sunday. This is Malden Law. We know what matters most.
Welcome back, everyone, for our special inauguration coverage today. It's 10:20 right now, just about 10 minutes until we are expecting the inauguration ceremonies to begin.
Absolutely. Let's head out to Dane Placco, who is live at Credit Union 1 Arena. It is already packed in there, isn't it, Dane?
All right, so we are back, and I can tell you the place, just in the last 10, 15 minutes since we last spoke to you, is filled up quite a bit. Let me step out of the way, and we'll give you a shot here. You can see the seats in front of us where a lot of the VIPs are sitting, a lot of the people that volunteered for the campaign directly in front of us. The floor seats, if you will, are very much filled up. And then off to the side, I'm going to duck out of the way here. You can see the side of the pavilion. That as well, we see very few empty seats at this point. Also people gathering in the second balcony upstairs, which was closed earlier, so they must be opening up the ticket policy a little bit and allowing people to sit upstairs, which they had not planned on before. I can tell you when this does start, it's going to start with both dance and music. The first couple things we're going to see on stage will be the performing arts, namely special music and choral and orchestral arrangements. I'm reading straight out of the program here, performed by Destiny Worship and Praise Choral, Rise Orchestra, and Karen Clark Sheard, and then it's going to be followed by a dance performance by the Muntu Dance Theater. I can also tell you that working the crowd a little bit earlier, walking around the pavilion, I saw a lot of obviously familiar faces, a lot of the aldermen who are going to be sworn in again here today, but also a lot of political players that weren't necessarily in Brandon Johnson's camp. I found that to be interesting, including some Republicans. Former state senator Kirk Dillard, a well-known Illinois Republican and Republican leader, is here today. He's now running the RTAs, the chairman of the board over there. And also former Secretary of State Jesse White, who supported Johnson's opponent, Paul Vallis, the former secretary who garnered more votes than any elected official in Illinois history, is here in the arena as well. So, as I say, it continues to fill up. We're going to start with some music and some dance, and then there's going to be a benediction. There's going to be the national anthem, some prayers, and then we'll move on to the swearing-in ceremonies. It's likely to take at least an hour and a half, if not a little bit longer this morning. Back to you.
Well, Dane, who's performing?
Oh, looks like he might be having trouble hearing us. So we'll get back to Dane in just a minute now.
Right.
But Joni has been outside of the arena all morning long. She's joining us live once again. Hey, Joni, what can you tell us?
And Joni, correct me if I'm wrong, they were talking about maybe security being ramped up there, and also that they were going to have traffic impacts. Can you see that from your vantage point?
I see a lot of officers out here for traffic management. They've been in place all around the UIC area, and it seems like things are going pretty well. In fact, across the street at the main entrance of the Credit Union 1 Arena, it looks like they got everybody inside. They did some good work here with 6 different lanes to accommodate the people who need to get inside and find their seats for this inauguration day. During that ceremony, as Dane mentioned, Brandon Johnson and the City Council will convene officially for the morning. They do it real quickly and then they're on their way. But this morning, Brandon Johnson made an important stop on his way to the Credit Union 1 Arena. He went back to his educational roots before this inauguration by stopping at Michelle Clark Magnet High School on the west side. There he visited with students and community activists, touching base before he goes into this big office. As you know, Brandon Johnson was a teacher. He taught elementary school at Jenner. He taught high school at Westinghouse College Prep, and has often talked about his role as an educator and a leader here in Chicago. Later today, he's going to meet his public at City Hall this afternoon. He and the First Lady of Chicago. A lot of people here are cheering for Johnson's success, and the West Siders in particular are excited about this. Also teachers. There are some students I've noticed here who apparently took the day off from school to enjoy this important lesson in civics. I think definitely they could get an excused absence today. But it looks like things are back on track. There was a crowd out here waiting to get in, a little bit of anxiety, but it looks like most of the people have gotten inside now so that they can make themselves comfortable for this ceremony, which, as Dane told you, will probably take about 90 minutes. Live outside the Credit Union 1 Arena, I'm Joni Lum. Now back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Joni. And we're back here now with Mike. We heard Dane saying a little bit about what the program beholds for Brandon Johnson. Let's talk about some of the campaign promises. He brought up the arts are going to be a part of this program today, and that's an important thing for Brandon Johnson. Tell us why.
Well, and it's an important thing for Chicago, too. Well, there's two immediate reasons. Number one is it's a huge reason that tourists come to Chicago. Chicago has, for more than a century and a half, really been the economic and cultural capital of the Midwest. That 55 million tourists that pre-pandemic came here in a year, that number is way, way down. And restaurants, the museums, the art dance groups, some of them performing here this morning, have all suffered. We need to get those tourists to come back, which is why we need to reduce the crime and reduce Chicago's image as an unsafe downtown, at least. But also tens of thousands, perhaps more than 100,000 people owe their jobs to the cultural and dance and music operations that function in the town. My wife and I recently went to Second City. We had a friend who was performing, and you know, we had trouble getting tickets. That was a great sign. It was a Saturday night, but it was great to have to struggle to get tickets. And so both for the jobs, for the restaurants and the vital part of the economy, the hospitality and tourism economy, that cultural part of Chicago is very, very important. And Brandon Johnson knows that. And he went to some performances while he was campaigning, and he has said that he will be a very committed partner there.
Another aspect of his commitment has really been to the youth. What difference do you think it will make to have someone who has a background in education to now lead the city, where we see so many of the issues, especially over the summer, connected to youth?
Well, we'll see. I'm not of the school. Johnson says running a grade school classroom is the best preparation for mayor. With all due respect, Mr. Mayor-elect, I disagree with that. But nonetheless, he's going to bring a new perspective, and we saw that when there was the group of kids last month who were downtown. There was, causing disruptions. There was that couple from South Carolina that they beat up, took their clothing and their shoes. There ended up being 3 young people shot that night. Johnson said he disapproved of what they did, and it had to be stopped. He wants that violence not to recur. But he said that he didn't want to demonize the youth. So let's see how that approach works. I'll tell you, I keep coming back to this. If he can reduce the violence, if you can do that, Mr. Mayor-elect, I don't think there will be anybody challenging you in 4 years. You'll get reelected without an opponent.
Well, that is a big to-do, that is for sure. So stick around here, Mike. This is a big day, of course, for Mayor-elect Johnson and his supporters, as well as the entire city of Chicago.
So we also want to bring in another voice here, retired Sun-Times veteran columnist Madeline E. Hejrika. Let's talk about this moment. What do you feel it means for Johnson and for the city of Chicago?
You know, this is quite literally historic, because this is the first mayor that does represent the West Side, as you all have been referring to. This is a mayor who is someone who no one expected would ever, beat the odds that were against him to take this position, to take the helm of the city of Chicago. He has 4 years of legislative experience at the Cook County government, but not a lot more than that. He is an organizer. He is a middle school teacher. How do you come from a middle school teacher to mayor of the 3rd largest city in the nation? So I think that this is a historic moment, and I think that we're on the verge of seeing change. Certainly, it harkens to the Harold Washington era, because of the multicultural, multi-generational coalition that was built, brought out the largest votes among that younger population. He is a younger mayor. So I think there are so many things that that we are seeing here that sets him up as unique. And the key will be, does he bridge all of the different voids, all of the different voices, all of the contrasting and challenging needs and priorities to be able to make a difference. And as was just discussed right now, I think that, you know, people are going to hold him accountable. He has made a lot of promises about doing things different. And it's very difficult to do things different. And it takes a lot of money to do things different. So people are going to hold him accountable. And if it does not occur, I dare say we'll be asking these questions again in 4 years.
Yeah, well, I know when the mayor ran, when Mayor Lightfoot ran, she talked about being the reform candidate. She was going to make major changes. You know, we saw what happened, one term for her, despite the fact that a lot of people were so excited, showing so much promise. Maudlin, Mike Flannery is sitting here as well with us this morning, and he wanted to ask a question of you, so I'm going to let him take it over from here.
So, Maudlin, what's your... it's my sense that if, in fact, he is able to make visible progress on the violence, the street-level criminal violence, that virtually everything else will be forgiven. I think that will be that's going to be a make or break.
Where are we going?
Top level,
That's what I'm talking about.
We're on the top. I want to stay here.
Do I want to take down Gordon Ramsay? Of course.
We on next level chef, baby. Hurry up! Gordon Ramsay does not do losing.
Next Level Chef, Thursday on Fox. Fox 32's Good Day Wake Up. No nonsense morning news, weather, and traffic to get you out the door and on your way. 4 to 7 a.m. on Fox 32 Chicago.
This is for the real ones, the fans that live for this. This is the USFL, reborn from the OGs. This isn't some Hollywood knockoff. This is Dragons, USDA primetime football. Just ask these guys.
You better recognize the real.
Accept no substitutes.
Knowing the melting point of molybdenum? Cool. Calculating a Dirac equation? Oh yeah, cool. Mastering quantum mechanics? Pretty darn cool. Having her as your neighbor? It doesn't get any cooler than that. The Big Bang Theory. Cool, redefined.
Fox 32 Storm Force meteorologist Mike Kaplan helping you plan for the days ahead.
Prime time for a stronger thunderstorm.
Mornings on Good Day Chicago.
Animal control. 3 guesses why we're here.
Grab the head. Dude, I'm not touching that thing. I was led to believe this job was mostly dogs.
Can we please be our better selves here?
Yeah, Emily, why don't you talk to my partner?
Joel McHale, Animal Control, Thursday on Fox.
The best way to start your day is Fox 32's Good Day Chicago.
When other Chicago newscasts go to New York at 7,
We keep it real by keeping it local.
a local news team with a local perspective.
On what's happening in Chicago
The country.
and around the world.
Good Day Chicago.
Weekday mornings on Fox 32.
The Masked Singer is back!
The new season is epic with weekly themes.
New York night! 80s night!
Impact this violence issue that is so entrenched. He has to show us. It is summertime. It's here. He has to show us. And he says he's going to confront it differently. He's going to tackle it from the root. He's going to tackle it from the youth who are committing the crimes. He's going to tackle it from the neighborhoods where the crime is centered. He's going to try to give the youth alternatives. He says that is a key. Let's see if he can do it. Let's see if he can find the money to do it. But yes, absolutely, Mike. Violence and public safety is the #1 issue he has to tackle, and it is the issue that will follow him throughout these next 4 years.
So I think it's worth pointing out, Maudlin, as I'm sure you well know, since it does appear that the new mayor is not going to be able to get a number of the tax and fees that he was proposing, the $800 million in new taxes and fees. He's not going to be able to get much of that. He's going to need help from Springfield. And on Flannery Fired Up this past weekend, State Representative Cam Buckner, who was one of the candidates for mayor, was a guest. And he's pushing a $300 million initiative that would provide 30 to 40,000 part-time jobs for youth here in Chicago. These would be year-round jobs. There'd be 5, 10, 15 hours a week at the minimum wage of $15, which I like. I mean, for young people who perhaps aren't ready for jobs in the private economy, this would be an opportunity for them to just learn basic things, like when you're talking to an adult, look them in the eye, try to speak distinctly, practice filling out a job application, these kinds of basic skills that could then, get you your next job in the private sector.
You're absolutely right. And one of the things that we do know is that for Brandon Johnson coming in, he has the advantage of already established relationships within the state legislature. As I spoke earlier on this in the 8 o'clock hour, Brandon worked for the Senate president. Brandon's son plays baseball with the son of the House Speaker. Brandon has solid relationships in the state legislature that are going to help him to carry out some of these initiatives. Many of the Black caucus agree with him on the issue of jobs, on the issue of how do you solve some of these issues. Many of the Latino caucus are ready to help him in terms of the finding housing and finding finance for the migrant situation. So he comes in with legislative relationships that Mayor Lori Lightfoot did not have. And as you said, Cam Buckner and Chris Welch and others are completely on board that jobs for youth are an absolute root of the problem of crime. So yes, that is going to be one of his greatest advantages.
Maudlin E. Hejirika, your voice is always valued here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we are getting close now to time for the ceremonies to begin.
Yes, it was supposed to start at 10:30, but as happens, they tend to run a little late. But we do have our Dane Placco live. Looks like they're about to get started soon, huh, Dane?
Yeah, looking for little signs here that we're about to get underway. Haven't seen any lights dim, but I can tell you that looking up into the lobby, entering this building, we have a vantage point right now. I can see through some open doors. There were 15, 20 minutes ago, there's still a lot of people milling around in the lobby, making their way to their seats. Now the lobby appears to be empty. So I think everybody who's coming to the inauguration is here now and taking their seats, although there are still some people kind of milling around on the floor, as often happens at events like this. It's as much a social function as a political one. People who haven't seen each other in a long time meeting and greeting and introducing to family members. As you can see, the section off to the side to stage right is very much full right now. The balcony, the second deck of this facility, is starting to fill up as well. So there are going to be a lot of people here. Why don't we take a look at the stage as well? I'm going to step back out of the way here a little bit and show you the podium is set up sort of at the front of the stage. There's a large white stage and then kind of a riser that falls below it, where the mayor-elect is going to be giving his inauguration speech. You can see the glass podium right there, and all those seats back there. Those black seats you see are going to be where the aldermen who are being sworn in today as well will be sitting. As for the other electeds who are going to be sworn in, the city treasurer and the the city clerk, they have their own cheering sections, if you will, on the floor, off to the side. On either side, there's a center section and then a right section and a left section. Those other electeds have the right and left section of this facility. Again, a lot of people still milling around here. No indications that we're going to be starting anytime soon. Of course, that could change. Music is playing, canned music right now, but we are going to be getting some live music. I saw that there was a small orchestra, a number of musicians just in front of the stage. Oh, and now we're hearing an announcement asking people to go to their seats. So that's our first indication that the inauguration may soon be getting underway. Back to you.
Yeah, Dane, I was looking over the program as you were speaking here. I am not surprised, but I...
Where are we going?
Top level, Chef.
That's what I'm talking about.
We're on the top. I want to stay here.
Do I want to take down Gordon Ramsay? Of course.
We on next level chef, baby.
Hurry up!
Gordon Ramsay does not do losing.
Next Level Chef, Thursday on Fox. Fox 32's Good Day Wake Up. No nonsense morning news, weather, and traffic to get you out the door and on your way. 4 to 7 a.m. on Fox 32 Chicago.
This is for the real ones, the fans that live for this. This is the USFL, reborn from the OGs. This isn't some Hollywood knockoff. This is Dragons, USDA primetime football. Just ask these guys.
You better recognize the real.
Accept no substitutes.
Knowing the melting point of molybdenum? Cool. Calculating a Dirac equation? Oh yeah, cool. Mastering quantum mechanics? Pretty darn cool. Having her as your neighbor? It doesn't get any cooler than that. The Big Bang Theory. Cool, redefined.
Fox 32 Storm Force meteorologist Mike Kaplan helping you plan for the days ahead.
Prime time for a stronger thunderstorm.
Mornings on Good Day Chicago.
Animal control. 3 guesses why we're here.
Grab the head. Dude, I'm not touching that thing. I was led to believe this job was mostly dogs.
Can we please be our better selves here?
Yeah, Emily, why don't you talk to my partner?
Joel McHale, Animal Control, Thursday on Fox.
The best way to start your day is Fox 32's Good Day Chicago.
When other Chicago newscasts go to New York at 7,
We keep it real by keeping it local.
a local news team with a local perspective.
On Chicago
The country.
and around the world.
Good Day Chicago.
Weekday mornings on Fox 32.
The Masked Singer is back!
The new season is epic with weekly themes.
New York night! 80s night!
top level, Chef.
That's what I'm talking about.
We're on the top. I want to stay here.
Do I want to take down Gordon Ramsay? Of course.
We on next level chef, baby.
Hurry up!
Gordon Ramsay does not do losing.
Next Level Chef, Thursday on Fox. Fox 32's Good Day Wake Up. No nonsense morning news, weather, and traffic to get you out the door and on your way. 4 to 7 a.m. on Fox 32 Chicago.
This is for the real ones, the fans that live for this. This is the USFL, reborn from the OGs. This isn't some Hollywood knockoff. This is Dragons, USDA primetime football. Just ask these guys.
You better recognize the real.
Accept no substitutes.
Knowing the melting point of molybdenum? Cool. Calculating a Dirac equation? Oh yeah, cool. Mastering quantum mechanics? Pretty darn cool. Having her as your neighbor? It doesn't get any cooler than that. The Big Bang Theory. Cool, redefined.
Fox 32 Storm Force meteorologist Mike Kaplan helping you plan for the days ahead.
Prime time for a stronger thunderstorm.
Mornings on Good Day Chicago.
Animal control. 3 guesses why we're here.
Grab the head. Dude, I'm not touching that thing. I was led to believe this job was mostly dogs.
Can we please be our better selves here?
Yeah, Emily, why don't you talk to my partner?
Joel McHale, Animal Control, Thursday on Fox.
Accompanied by Beth Quinn, J.Lu Gutierrez, accompanied by Aranza Escut, Raymond Lopez, accompanied by Hugo Lopez, Stephanie Coleman, accompanied by Bishop and retired Alderman Shirley Coleman, David Moore, accompanied by Elizabeth Lee, Derek Curtis, accompanied by Sharice Curtis, Matthew O'Shea, accompanied by Kara O'Shea, Jeanette Taylor, accompanied by James Taylor III, Ronnie Mosley, accompanied by Taylor Mosley, Michael Rodriguez, accompanied by Jackie Areola Rodriguez, Silvana Tabarez, accompanied by Sean Murray, Monique Scott, accompanied by Michael Scott Jr., Byron Sikcho Lopez, accompanied by Laureen Targus, Jesse Fuentes, accompanied by Rebecca Medina, Walter Burnett, accompanied by Darlena Williams Burnett, Jason Irvin, accompanied by Thelma Irvin, Chris Taliaferro, accompanied by Melissa Taliaferro, Ruth Cruz, accompanied by Oscar Marufo, Felix Cardona, accompanied by Claudia Cardona, Scott Wagaspak, accompanied by Jade Wagaspak, Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez, accompanied by Luis Rodriguez, Bill Conway, accompanied by Brittany Conway, Carlos Ramirez Rosa, accompanied by Judge Ramon Ocasio III, Gilbert Villegas, accompanied by Melissa Angelucci, Emma Mix, accompanied by Oscar Taylor, Nicholas Spizzato, accompanied by Catherine Blanksey, Samantha Nugent, accompanied by Rory Nugent, Andre Vasquez, accompanied by Valerie Miles, Anthony Napolitano, accompanied by Jamie Napolitano, Brendan Riley, Timmy Knudsen, accompanied by Lucy Moog, Bennett Lawson, accompanied by Pedro Mendoza, Jim Gardner, accompanied by Samantha Fields, Angela Clay, accompanied by Angelita James, Matt Martin, accompanied by Caitlin Martin, Lenny Mana Hoppenworth, accompanied by Sydney Hoppenworth, Maria Haddon, accompanied by Natalia Vera, Deborah Silverstein, accompanied by Eva Loskov. Please welcome the inaugural co-chairs. Kindly hold your applause until all guests have reached their seats. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, accompanied by First Lady M.K. Pritzker. Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, accompanied by Second Gentleman Brian Eccles. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul, accompanied by Che Raoul. Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Janulius, accompanied by Josephine Janulius. Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza, accompanied by David Sostak. U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth. U.S. Senator Dick Durbin. Congressman Danny K. Davis, accompanied by Vera Davis. Congressman Jesus Chuy Garcia. Congressman Jonathan Jackson, accompanied by Darrell Harper. Congresswoman Robin L. Kelly, accompanied by Deborah Graham. Congresswoman Delia C. Ramirez, accompanied by Boris Hernandez. Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, accompanied by Andrew Gachkowski. Illinois Senate President Don Harmon, accompanied by Teresa Wilton Harmon. Illinois Speaker of the House Emanuel Chris Welch, accompanied by Willie Mae Welch. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, accompanied by Lynetta Haynes Turner. Please welcome special guests of the mayor-elect. Kindly hold your applause until all guests have reached their seats. Cook County State's Attorney Kimberly M. Fox. Bishop J. Drew Sheard, accompanied by Karen Clark Sheard. Randy Weingarten, accompanied by Sharon Kleinbaum. Dan Montgomery. Stacey Davis Gates, accompanied by Kevin Gates. Jackson Potter. Greg Kelly, accompanied by Bertha Roberson. Roberta Lynch, accompanied by Mike Newman. Bob Ryder, accompanied by Father Cleet Hilly. Kathy Griffin, accompanied by Sean Denny. Tony Johnston, accompanied by Rachel Johnston. Diane Palmer, accompanied by Stacia Scott. Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., accompanied by Bishop Tavis Grant. Emma Ty, accompanied by Josh Lerner. Kennedy Bartley, accompanied by Teresa Bartley. Dr. Barbara Ransby, accompanied by Jason Ransby Sporn. G2 Brown, accompanied by Jay Travis. Tanya Watkins, Olga Batista, Abby Illenberger, Frank C. Chapman, Jesus Martinez, Caitlin Brady, Will Tansman, Ling Young, Jessica Trotter, Enrique Mendoza, Andy Chin, Amisha Patel, and Claudia Guzman. Please welcome the Honorable Diana E. Lopez. Please welcome the Honorable Judith C. Rice. Please welcome the Honorable Timothy C. Evans, accompanied by Daisy Denizard. Please welcome City Clerk of Chicago, Anna M. Valencia, accompanied by Rayad Cosme. Please welcome City Treasurer of Chicago, Melissa Conyers Irvin, accompanied by Geneva Irvin. Please welcome City of Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, accompanied by First Lady Amy Eshelman. Please welcome Mayor-elect of the City of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, accompanied by his wife, Mrs. Stacy Johnson, and their children, Owen Johnson, Ethan Johnson, and Braden Johnson. If you are able, please rise for the presentation of colors by Hyde Park Academy High School's JROTC. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the singing of the National Anthem and the Black National Anthem. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led in American Sign Language by El Mendiola. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To perform the national anthem, please welcome Cassandra Figueroa.
Buenos días y bienvenido, mi gente. Es un placer que estar aquí con ustedes. Gracias. Hello and good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you all this morning. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you.
To perform the Black National Anthem, please welcome Walt Whitman and the Soul Children of Chicago. please welcome Melody Cerna of the American Indian Center of Chicago.
Ani Buju Minugugajeb. Hello, good morning. The American Indian Center of Chicago is pleased to partner with the Office of the Mayor to put together this land acknowledgement. Over the past few years, land acknowledgements have become a trendy way to bring awareness to the original people of a particular location where the land acknowledgement is being delivered. Unfortunately, most stop there, and that's not nearly enough. Today, I want you to consider your relationship to this land, the environment, the original people of this land, and the descendants of people whose land is the foundation for the city you know and love today. Chicago's origin story is rooted in very difficult reality that we all must confront together. It centers on the very land we're gathered upon today, and I ask you to consider for just a moment, how was this land originally acquired? Long before the metal beams scraped the sky and the freeways scarred the soil, citizens from numerous native nations made this land their home. Chicago is the traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. Many other nations, including the Miami, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Sauk, and Meskwaki, also made their homes here. We acknowledge that since time immemorial, these people lived, loved, raised families, and created community on this land. They cared for, celebrated, and gave thanks to this land. And in short, they built a loving and lasting reciprocal relationship with the land that we're on today. We acknowledge that through the acts of settler colonialism, their relationship with this land was shattered. The original people were stolen from the land as they were forced to leave through lies, torture, violence, and genocide. This is the legacy of how the land for the city of Chicago was originally acquired. To acknowledge this brutal legacy is not enough. We must find ways to heal it and to move forward together as a community. To that end, we must first honor with so much love and gratitude the many ways in which Native people have worked endlessly while giving up so much of their bodies and spirits so that Chicago may exist and thrive today. We must acknowledge the courage and the resiliency that Native people possess that is evidenced by the continued indelible contributions they impart on our city to this day, despite their horrific experiences with settler colonialism. Presently, Chicago is the home to over 65,000 natives who represent more than 140 different nations. We are your friends and neighbors, your classmates and coworkers. We live, love, and we hope and dream in this city. We continue to build community. Today, as we come together as community, committed to uplifting all of our relatives, I need you to move beyond land acknowledgements. Acknowledgements alone do not create equitable conditions in the lives of our minority and marginalized relatives, including our Native American, African American, other communities of color, and of course our LGBTQ+ and Two-Spirit relatives. Beginning immediately, we must intentionally create actionable steps to boldly dismantle settler colonialism here in Chicago. As a community, we must ready ourselves with the strength, wisdom, and courage to lead the next 7 generations. We must move forward. 7 generations is a belief deeply rooted within our Native American wisdom and values that ensures our grandchildren's grandchildren will not only survive, but thrive 7 generations into the future while possessing the knowledge and wisdom of their ancestors. In closing, I ask, how will you help ensure a better, more equitable future for all Chicagoans? How are you going to show up as an activist and ally each and every day moving forward? Chimigwech.
The mayor will now bring the city council to order.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the peaceful transfer of power. The City Council will now come to order.
Please be seated. To deliver the invocation, please welcome the Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Upon the land cultivated by the Ojibwe and the Odawa, in this city of big shoulders founded by a man of African descent named Dusabo, we, the citizens of this tapestry of diversity and mosaic of humanity, invoke the Holy Spirit. May the aspirations of marginalized children, forgotten elders, homeless families, and vulnerable veterans find space and voice in this administration. May the constituents, we as constituents of this grand metropolis of possibility, engage our imagination to dream of a city that is yet to be born. One city not divided by income, one city not divided by race, one city not divided by ethnicity or migrant status. A city where children on the west and south side have the same opportunity as those upon the north and Gold Coast. We invoke the Holy Spirit to cover the Johnson family and empower this mayor to lead with humility and strength, integrity and compassion, vision and faithfulness, justice and equity. This is our prayer as citizens of this municipality of big shoulders we call Chicago. May those who believe in the possibility and potential of this city, the leadership of Brandon Johnson, and the power of the Holy Spirit speak with authority using the ancient words of affirmation, Amen and Ashe.
To deliver an original poetry reading, please welcome the inaugural Poet Laureate of Chicago, Avery R. Young.
In this close proximity to Karen Clark Sheard and Reverend Jesse Jackson Singer and a pre-K, I think I need to start this thing off with giving honor to God and look here, if I make a mistake, don't laugh. Just pray my strength in the Lord. And whereas a dream can blast off and a rainbow child can dip in the middle of the boulevard with no static from haves or have-nots smoking oxtails in their backyards. And whereas a nurse can go and lie down for a week to keep her mind on this side of clothes instead of becoming front page news and the source of her mother-in-law's worry and woe. And whereas a collective of activists can create worry-free of nightsticks to dodge in the hawk or heat. And whereas any child doesn't have to go to school to ensure that they eat. For ain't this a metropolis? Once a milk and honey land to sharecroppers from the south. Ain't this metropolis a stir fry of cultures? With lions on the stoop of a great art house? And ain't us all beautiful under a red sun sky and its mountains made of metal and windows? Or a good old Dr. Watts hymn to pierce a sin-sick soul And whereas any skeptic that does not believe in utopian visionscapes where justice is bliss and the imagination is the brain's gold mine, this city still be a space a dream can whisper into a child of the third fire's ear. This be a place where you can thrive.
To bestow the blessing, please welcome Rabbi Shoshana Conover.
Mayor Brandon Johnson, I know that your biblical inspiration is Joseph. With him you identify, and through him, that dream interpreter, you realize your own dreams. So like Joseph, Mayor Johnson, may you wear a coat of many colors, colors that represent all humanity, all ethnicities, all of Chicago, black, brown, and white, Asian, indigenous, and Latinx. And may you realize, like Joseph, that a coat is just a coat. It can be ripped off, torn apart, bloodied. So may God place within you a heart of many colors. And may your rainbow heart beat in the rhythm of all Chicago. Like Joseph, dear Mayor, may you prevail over every temptation. Certainly they will continue to come your way and increase. But like Joseph with Potiphar's wife, may you be reminded of the values handed down to you by your father, Pastor Andrew Johnson, and your beloved late mother, Wilma Jean Johnson. And may you continue to act with the kind of integrity that has brought you to this very moment. Like Joseph, may you have the courage to go into dark places, to witness those who feel forgotten in detention centers and prisons. See them, listen to their dreams, help them behold their destiny of repentance and repair, reform, restoration, healing, and flourishing. Mayor, give our youth hope. There are too many deserts in our city. Food deserts, housing deserts, healthcare deserts, education deserts. Much of where we look, we face famine. We lack hope. Like Joseph, Mayor Johnson, help every neighborhood, every citizen thrive. Not only through your vision, but with careful planning and thoughtful collaboration, so that, like Joseph, when people come from far away lands looking for a brighter future, Mayor, you will help us welcome them because we thrive. And like our beloved Joseph, who brought his family together, uniting them after decades of division, Mayor, unite us. Lead us to our common destiny. Chicago, a beacon of light in our great yet frayed nation. Teach us to strengthen our big shoulders. We are our brother's keeper. We are our sister's keeper. We are our siblings' keeper. Mayor Brandon Johnson, our Joseph, may you see the work that you do. Like your biblical brother, may you have occasion to say, Ki limichnya shalachani Elokim lifnechem. It was to save life that God sent me before you. Oh God, we pray, strengthen Brandon Johnson. He has lives to save, a city to unite and heal. Remind him that you are with him, guiding him. God, protect him. Keep him safe. God, look over his loved ones, Stacy, Owen, Ethan, and Braden. Give him time, God, to cherish them, to give them his gladness, even as he works to build a better Chicago for them, with them, and with all of us by his side, in his heart. Amen.
Please welcome City Clerk of Chicago, Anna M. Valencia, to present for the record an official statement concerning election of mayor, city clerk, city treasurer, and alderpersons.
Mayor Lightfoot, Mayor-elect Johnson, Treasurers Conyers-Irvin, members of the City Council. The Clerk of the Cook County has filed in the Office of the City Clerk the official statements of election for the offices of Mayor, City Clerk, City Treasurer, and alderpersons of the 50 wards of the City of Chicago.
Please welcome the Honorable Deanna E. Lopez, Circuit Judge of the Circuit Court of Cook County, who will administer the oath of office of City Clerk to Anna M. Valencia.
Valencia,
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the Clerk of the City of Chicago according to the best of my ability. Congratulations. Thank you.
City Clerk Valencia will now administer the oath of office to the alderpersons-elect of the City of Chicago.
She'll be okay, she has M&Ms. Will the alderpersons-elect of the 50 wards please rise? Please raise your right hand. Oh, please rise. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of alderperson of the City of Chicago according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Please be seated. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Daniel Espada. Alderman Brian Hopkins. Alderman Pat Dow. Alderperson Lamont Robinson. Alderperson Desmond Yancey. Alderperson William Hall. Alderperson Gregory Mitchell. Alderperson Michelle Harris. Alderperson Anthony Beal. Alderperson Peter Chico. Alderperson Nicole Lee. Alderperson Julia Ramirez. Alderperson Marty Quinn. Alderperson J. Lou Gutierrez. Alderperson Raymond Lopez. Alderperson Stephanie Coleman. Alderperson David Moore. Alderperson Derek Curtis. Alderperson Matt O'Shea. Alderperson Jeanette Taylor. Alderperson Ronnie Mosley. Alderperson Michael Rodriguez. Alderperson Savannah Tabares. Alderperson Monique Scott. Alderperson Byron Cicho Lopez. Alderperson Jesse Fuentes. Alderperson Walter Burnett. Alderperson Jason Irvin. Alderperson Chris Talafero. Alderperson Ruth Cruz. Alderperson Felix Cordona. Alderperson Scott Wagispack. Alderperson Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez. Alderperson Bill Conway. Alderperson Carlos Ramirez Rosa. Alderperson Gilbert Villegas. Alderperson Emma Mitz. Alderperson Nicholas Sabasado. Alderperson Samantha Nugent. Alderperson Andre Vasquez. Alderperson Anthony Napolitano. Alderperson Brendan Riley. Alderperson Timothy Knudsen. Alderperson Bennett Lawson. Alderperson Jim Gardner. Alderperson Angela Clay. Alderperson Matt Martin. Alderperson Lenny Mana Hoppenworth. Alderperson Maria Haddon. Alderperson Deborah Silverstein. Your Honor, we have a quorum present.
We have a quorum.
I now present to you for your consideration the official bonds of the Honorable Brandon Johnson as Mayor of the City of Chicago, their Honorable Anna Valencia as City Clerk of Chicago, and the Honorable Melissa Conyers-Irvin as the Treasurer of the City of Chicago, which have been certified as to form by the Corporation Council and certified as the sureties by the City Comptroller.
Alderperson Jason Irvin for a motion on the bonds. Alderman. You want to come here? Jason, just come here.
Madam President, I move the approval of the bonds for the wonderful people from the West Side, the Mayor, Clerk, and Treasurer.
On Alderperson Jason Irvin's motion to approve the bonds, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the bonds are approved.
Please welcome the Honorable Judith C. Rice, Acting Presiding Judge of the Circuit Court of Cook County and former Treasurer of the City of Chicago, who will administer the oath of office of City Treasurer to Melissa Conyers Irvin.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Melissa Conyers Irvin,
I, Melissa Conyers Irvin,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Treasurer of the City of Chicago
the duties of the office of Treasurer for the City of Chicago
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To dedicate a prayer for peace and guidance, please welcome Imam Hassan Ali.
In the name of God, most gracious, the most merciful. إن الله يأمركم أن تؤدوا الأمانات إلى أهلها وإذا حكمتم بين الناس أن تحكموا بالعدل إن الله نعم ما يعظكم به إن الله كان سميعا بصيرا. Indeed, God commands you to render trust to whom they are due. And when you judge between people, to judge with justice. Excellent is that which God instructs you. Indeed, God is ever hearing and seeing. Almighty God, I join hands with my brothers and sisters here today to pray for you, to ask for your blessings and guidance as we inaugurate our new leaders into positions of responsibility. May their hearts be filled with a deep sense of love and compassion for all people, regardless of race, gender, religion, or social status. May their leadership be marked by honesty, integrity, and a deep commitment to serving the common good. As we invoke your blessings upon us, give us a still and quiet heart and mind. Make us humble in the use of freedom, just in the exercise of power, and generous in the protection of weakness. Inspire the leaders who direct our city and our state that they may guide it wisely and well. Give them the wisdom to know what is right and the courage to do it. May our personal faith give us strength to act honestly and well in all matters before us. Help us to be moral leaders and guides for all people, and especially Mayor Johnson. As he's about to take the oath, may his efforts of goodness, peace, and security be blessed with insight and guided by understanding and wisdom. May this morning be a new era for our city and our state, as we humble ourselves and acknowledge you alone as our Savior and Lord. Almighty God, you are the source of life, peace, and love. Accept our prayers today and every day. Amen.
To To perform a special selection of music, please welcome Karen Clark Sheard, accompanied by the Destiny Worship and Praise Chorale and Rise Orchestra.
To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear the unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare to go, to dream the impossible dream. Oh, how matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to dream the impossible. Jesus. There's nobody like you, Lord. When I think of how he's brought us thus far, if it had not been for you bringing us this far, you ordered the steps of a good man, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hallelujah. Can somebody say hallelujah? Glory to God. You are the source. He's my joy. He's my joy in sorrow. Thank you for making a way. Thank you, Lord. Yeah. You are the strength of my life. I will live. I'll lift our hands in total praise. We give you honor, God, to you. We bless your name. Hallelujah. Thank you for preparing a table before us in the presence of our enemies. Thank you for being the Lord over our life. Thank you for ordering the steps of a good man. Thank you, Father. Thank you for joy, peace, life, joy, peace, life, joy, happiness. We call a protection over you. Yeah, we bless your name. Amen.
To administer the oath of office of Mayor of the City of Chicago, please welcome the Honorable Timothy C. Evans, Chief Judge of the Circuit Court of Cook County, and Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson.
Look out, boy. This day was coming, wasn't it? We did. Yeah. Raise your right hand and repeat after me, inserting your name at the appropriate time. I, and state your name.
I, Brandon Johnson,
Do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will
faithfully
discharge the duties the office of Mayor of the City of Chicago according to the best of my ability. Sir, you are installed. Love you, brother. You take care of it now.
Yes,
God
sir.
be with you here. All right.
Wish me well.
Good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. I am truly humbled and honored to stand before you as the 57th mayor of the greatest city in the world. And I truly believe that. It's not just the incredible natural beauty of our city as you look out over Lake Michigan. It's not just the outstanding food, from pizza to Italian beef to the vegetarian tacos. It's not just our art and music that pushes the boundaries and redefines genres. I believe what truly makes us great is our people. And not just the names that show up in our history books, but the ones that show up in our schools, on the beat, at the work site, at the concert hall, and of course in the boardrooms, and of course at the respite center, looking out for strangers in need. Chicagoans, we show up. And we have leaders who show up too. And that's why I'm grateful that we have Governor J.B. Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, Senator Dick Durbin, Senator Tammy Duckworth, Senate President Don Harmon, the first black speaker, House Speaker Chris Welch, our entire congressional delegation, Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, the members of the General Assembly, and of course my former colleagues at the Cook County Board, and to every other elected leader who is here today, thank you for your service and thank you for being here. And to the City Treasurer, Melissa Conyers-Irvin, and the City Clerk, Anna Valencia, congratulations on your inaugurations. I look forward to serving with both of you and building a stronger city together. And to the members of the City Council, and especially the 13 newly elected alderpersons, congratulations. This is your day too, and you deserve recognition, and I'm going to turn around and clap for them. I want to make this clear. The people of Chicago are counting on us to work together, to collaborate to make their lives better every day. Now, we won't always agree, but I won't ever question your motives or your commitment, and I'll always do my part to find common ground. I'd like to thank Mayor Lori Lightfoot and her leadership of our city through turbulent times. Let us not forget that Mayor Lightfoot made history twice as the first black woman and the first openly gay LGBTQ mayor. And in doing so, she broadened the imagination of so many young people across this city, including my daughter. Lori, I am grateful to you for your service and your sacrifice. And to my extended family here today, y'all didn't know how many cousins I had until I ran for mayor. And to my play cousins. But also my 3 children, Owen, Ethan, and Braden, and of course my wife, Stacy. None of this would be possible or mean nearly as much without you. And of course, you all know I gotta brag a little bit about my wife. Because I may be getting inaugurated, but Stacey is the one making history today as the first black first lady in the history of Chicago. Stacey, your love and care for Chicago is only dwarfed by your love for our family. Thank you for everything that you do every single day and everything you will do for Chicago. Now, look, I'll be honest with you all. This is still very, very humbling for me. Because I have to tell you, growing up, I never imagined I could be on a stage like this. Growing up one of 10 in a working class family, it teaches you a lot about things. But I never could have foreseen this. Now, make no mistake about it, that doesn't mean that I'm not prepared. In fact, I think often about my upbringing and the lessons that my parents and my siblings instilled. My mother is not here today, she's an ancestor. But my mother had the biggest heart of anyone that I know. She always made room for one more at the table. A cousin, a neighbor, someone in need of a warm meal and a warm embrace. She taught me to love people. And that's ultimately the reason I stand before you today. And I can feel your Wilma Jean Johnson in this room. Now, my father is here. He taught me what it means to work hard and to be accountable. This brother worked 3 jobs. Now, he was a carpenter and a pastor. You understand the pressure growing up in a house when your father is just like Jesus, I've learned my core values of hard work and accountability and love that form the foundation for my approach to public service. And now I stand before you today as the new mayor of the nation's third largest city. A place where to hope and to have opportunity. It's been here for decades, met with the promise and the possibility that only a place like Chicago can provide. There is something special about this city. I like to call it the soul of Chicago. Karen Clark Shear, this is where I believe in our faith tradition, we start to say, I think I feel my help coming. It is alive in each and every one of us here today, and it's always been the strong in the heart of everyone who has ever called this land home. I'm talking about the soul of Chicago. It's alive in the hearts of the Miami, the Sauk, the Potawatomi, who lived on this land for centuries. The soul of Chicago sent a black Haitian man named Jean-Baptiste Point de Sabo to establish a city at the mouth of the Chicago River. It was alive in the hearts of tens of thousands who arrived here in the Great Migration, including my grandparents, who came to Chicago in search of a home. They injected the soul, the rhythm, combined with the traditions of the South, like the blues and, of course, the new cadence, making Chicago the center of both black enterprise and black freedom struggles. It is the soul of Chicago that brought immigrants from all over the world to work, to organize, to build the first skyscraper, to flee persecution in one country and create an entire industry in another country, including one of the largest hospitality companies in the world. I'm talking about the soul of Chicago. Because that same soul, immigrants from Guatemala to Humboldt Park, where they raised a daughter named Delia Ramirez, who would grow up to make our city proud as a member of the United States Congress. Congresswoman Ramirez was born in the same public hospital where I, a child of the Great Migration, received life-saving asthma treatment. I'm talking about the soul of Chicago. That, my friends, is the rich soul of Chicago. That soul is what strikes me today. I'm marveling. Boy, West Siders are everywhere. Because if you didn't know, now you know. I'm marveling not just at the peaceful transfer of power, or the miracle of American democracy, or the grand tradition of Chicago elections. It is how much we all share. I'm struck by how much work it took to bring us to this moment. How many decades of slow, grinding progress. Think about the labor movement, which produced luminaries like my mentor and dear sister, Karen Lewis. Who modeled true social justice unionism and helped lead the multiracial, multicultural working class movement that organized its way to this moment. The same labor movement that raised wages, established the 40-hour work week, and built the middle class in this city. From the civil rights movement embodied by our very own brother, Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. Which abolished racial segregation in our laws and gave us the Voting Rights Act. From the women's right movement, led by Chicago's Jane Addams and Ida B. Wells, which ensured women would participate fully in every part of civil life. In fact, we all are here because of the work of giants who came before us and without whom this day would not be possible. I bring that up because so often in politics, we think and talk and argue about the things that divide us. I want to be clear about something. Those divisions are real. They are. Many people who love our city deeply have radically different ideas about how to confront the shared challenges that we face. It's true. Y'all know we need revenue. We have a structural deficit. And we have to invest in people. And we have to do that without breaking the backs of working people with fines, fees, and property taxes. You can't make people feel bad because they have a payment plan. You can't stop someone with a payment plan from becoming mayor of the city of Chicago. Oh, my help is coming this morning. But too many Chicagoans, though, fear for their safety. And when they walk down the streets to get groceries or drive to the gas station, because our city's homicide and violent crime rates have consistently outpaced our peer cities. Our public transit is unreliable and unsafe, so much so that many parents refuse to let their children ride, even when the CTA could be the pathway to opportunity and enrichment. Rent in Chicago continues to go up year after year after year, while the development of both affordable and market rate housing stagnates. And as a result, too many in our city go to sleep unhoused, and too few families know the security of owning their own home. Our downtown commercial corridors still bear the scars of the pandemic, with higher vacancy rates and lower foot traffic. And of course, our neighborhoods, particularly those on the south and west side, have still not tasted the fruits of the investments that they demand and deserve. Our schools call out for more resources to fulfill their mandate of providing every single child in our city with a world-class education that meets their specific needs. And despite the trauma these challenges produce, too few can rely on the consistent access to mental health care that they desperately need. But as we debate and discuss the solutions to these crises. I want to remind us that we have the real conversation, and that conversation is about the soul of Chicago. It's alive. It's alive and well in each and every one of us. We have so much in common, you all. We really do. And we know that we all suffer when these ills are allowed to fester and grow. These problems don't just affect particular neighborhoods, one community, or an ethnic group. It affects all of us. You know, the tears of Adam Toledo's parents, the tears of Adam Toledo's parents are made of the same sorrow as the parents of Officer Preston's parents. Officer Preston's tragic death at the age of 24, just last week, reminds us what is really at stake. When we talk about the future of Chicago, we have to be very clear about what's at stake, because she joined the Chicago Police Department for the very same reason that I ran to become the next mayor of the city of Chicago. She believed that through public service, she could be a conduit for justice. And to the family of Officer Preston, my heart is with you, and know we will be with you every step of the way. Thank you for sharing your extraordinary daughter with the city of Chicago. Now, thank you. Honoring public servants like Officer Preston means truly addressing the challenges that we face. But the only way that we can truly confront and address those challenges is by working together and coming together. Now, we can't do it in a phony way, in an artificial way that pretends that differences don't exist. But I'm talking about in a deeper way that acknowledges the strength of what makes this city so strong and great. I'm talking about a strength that binds us in the face of our unique perspectives. All of us in this room today, are the product of our own stories. And each and every one of us has a story to not only tell, but lift up. And all of us in this room have the ability to take action, to be the courageous men and women who came before us. And that means right now, we get to write the story of our children's and our grandchildren's futures. And we get to do that together. And what will that story say? What will it say? That Chicago, with its sturdy shoulders and its diverse economy and the legacy of all of our generosity, was too afraid to stand up? Is that what our story will say? Thank you. we get to tell a different story. I'm talking about a story that, again, that binds us together. We don't want our story to be told that we were unable to house the unhoused or provide a safe harbor for those who are seeking refuge here. Because there's enough room for everyone in the city of Chicago, whether you are seeking asylum or you are looking for a fully funded neighborhood. We don't want our story to say that we did not invest in all of the people and all of the communities that make our city great. We don't want that to be our story. Cannot afford to get it wrong, Chicago. We don't want Chicago that has been overwhelmed by the traumatization of violence and despair, that our residents felt no hope or no choice but to leave, shrinking our economy and making it difficult for this city to remain a world-class city. We don't want that, Chicago. Our city gets to be as big as its promises. Our city gets to be as wide as our neighborhoods across this city. All 77 neighborhoods. That's the story. It's our neighborhoods. I'm breathing it in, you all. I'm just breathing it in. And so again, I'll repeat it again. We don't want our story to be that Chicago became so traumatized by violence and despair that our residents felt no other choice but to leave. And so a better day is ahead, Chicago. Our stories get to reach well beyond this moment. They do. And I'm grateful that I will be working with a body of government that is committed to that transformation. But here's the thing, no, it won't be. That will not be our story. Not on my watch. Because we right now together are committing ourselves to writing a different future. As a pastor's son, I'm reminded of a scripture, Matthew 6:21. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And let's show the world, Chicago, where our heart is. Let's build a Chicago that is the economic marvel of our state, the Midwest, and this nation. Let's build a Chicago that means that our economy gets to grow by rerouting the rivers of prosperity to the banks of disinvestment so that no one goes thirsty. Too much of our land is dry right now, and we have to change that, and we can. See, I live in one of those drier communities, the beautiful Austin neighborhood on the mighty west side of Chicago. And the very fact that the mayor of Chicago lives in one of the most disinvested and violent communities in the city, it shows us what's possible. So let's not be discouraged by what it is. Let's make sure that we never stop imagining of what it could be. So we'll create a Chicago where the big development projects get done. The poor have a pathway out of poverty, and large events like the Democratic National Convention that will generate a vitality in every single neighborhood that gets done. Where our cultural institutions, whether it's our sporting events, hotels, and our world-class restaurants, are supported, promoted, and accessible not just to those from every corner of the world, but for those from every corner of the city. By imagining what is possible, by doing this, we can create a prosperous city which no one is too poor to live in one of the richest cities in one of the wealthiest countries at the richest time in the history of the world. And so that means I'm talking about a Chicago where 65,000 people don't wake up on the streets or in a shelter, where public housing and affordable housing and a pathway to home ownership exists for everyone. I'm talking about a city where it will no longer be the case where every network dollar belonging to a white family, where only 8 cents belongs to a brown family and only 1 cent belongs to a black family. We can do it, Chicago. We can bring Chicago home. My family is living proof of the type of transformation that can happen with real investments. We'll create a Chicago where pathways to college and the high-tech industries and the future exist alongside the pathways to the trades and apprenticeships and the arts, where every young person has a chance to pursue their passion and get a W-2, where business, community, labor, philanthropy work together to connect every young person to an opportunity to fulfill their potential, where we introduce these opportunities to young people as young as 6, 7, and 8 years old and open up their minds to a world that could be. I'm talking about the soul of Chicago. And so Gary, Bob, Jim, Don, we need your leadership. Richard, Marty, Linda, we need your business expertise. G2, Tanya, Andrea, and Oscar, we need your organizing and relationships. And so listen, this is not a call out. This is what organizers refer to as a call in. And I'm talking about calling in the wisdom of the soul of Chicago, calling in the compassion of the soul of Chicago, calling in the expertise. I'm talking about calling in every single person in the city of Chicago to build a city that works for everyone. So let's get to work where we double the amount of young people that we hire. Some say that we have to wait 20 years for the efforts to pay dividends. I don't believe that. We can change lives of people in Chicago right now. So let's show our heart is in our young people's education. Let's create a public education system that resources children based on need and not just on numbers. Where every single child in every neighborhood, whether they fill out an application or not, whether they are bilingual or not, special needs or not, has access to a world-class education. Let's have a system that respects its parents, educators, and school employees, where the president of the Chicago Teachers Union and SEIU Local 73 and the CEO of the Chicago Public Schools can work together to advocate for more resources for all of our children. So, Stacy, Diane, Pedro, I need you. We can do this together. Tony and Juan, let's do the same thing for city colleges, which should be a gateway to opportunity for all of our neighborhoods. And so, while we're at it, let's work together to make sure that there is child care for all for every single person in the city of Chicago. So Greg, Erica, Maggie, and Mr. Governor, let's do it together. I I want to work with you to make sure that we are providing support for working parents and giving children the nourishment that they need from day one. And how about we also create a Chicago where the hundreds of thousands suffering from episodic mental health receive treatment and not trauma. Because people like my late brother Leon, who died addicted and unhoused, if only there was treatment. I want to make sure that no one ever has to suffer because they do not have access to mental health services. And people have told us no for too long. It's a matter of life and death. So let's bring together the private sector, the public sector, the county, the state, and the federal government to find the best solutions for delivering these services, including reopening our mental health care centers across the city of Chicago. So let's get to work, Chicago. Cheryl, Rosanna, President Preckwinkle, and Roberta, we need your leadership. Let's get this right for future generations. Here, I actually believe we can even do something really bold and fix our public transportation system. We can secure safety and convenience for cyclists while making significant investments in the reliability, the safety, and the connectivity of our buses and trains in every single neighborhood. These investments won't just benefit our economy, they'll result in a safer, more livable city for all of us. And once and for all, let's create a safer Chicago. A safe Chicago means a safe Chicago for all, no matter what you look like, who you love, or where you live. We'll do it together by investing in people. We'll invest in housing, mental health, and youth jobs and higher wages and real economic development in every community. We'll do it by supporting law enforcement, especially those who are serving on the front lines. That means providing them with direct lines of supervision, clear expectations for their work, and equal opportunities for advancement and strong accountability and support for every stakeholder in this city. Our faith leaders, our philanthropic institutions, our business community, violence interrupters, researchers, educators, coaches, counselors. It's going to take all of us. Not one of us can sit down in order to make a better, stronger, safer Chicago. I'm counting on the entire city to deliver on this. And so, you all know we have no time to spare. As I speak, a group of philanthropic and business leaders are partnering to increase the resources for community youth programming between when school lets out and the Chicago Park District programs begin. And to provide more safe opportunities for young people during Memorial Day weekend and the 4th of July. It's not just up to Fred Waller and his officers, it is up to all of us. So Charles, Abby, and Andrea, thank you. Let's keep pushing to build a safer Chicago. And speaking of the right thing to do, the soul of Chicago tells us we will never close our doors to those who come here in search of a better life. For as Scripture says, I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. That has always been the soul of Chicago, and it will always be the soul of Chicago. We know the strength of a city is determined by how we treat the most vulnerable. And so we choose to be a strong city. We must reject a zero-sum formulation between investing in those who have been here for decades and supporting those who have been sit here on a bus even this morning. We can do both, Chicago, and we can all thrive together. I stand before you today deeply optimistic about the future, not because I'm ignorant of the challenges, but because I'm deeply aware of our history. From the Great Chicago Fire, to the Red Summer of 2019, to the 1968 riots, to now the aftermath of pandemic and unrest, our city has faced enormous challenges before, and every challenge has also been hidden within it tremendous opportunity. As history has shown us, that when we come together, we show up with the belief of what unites us and how powerful our differences are. And the differences is what makes us the amazing city that we are. There is no limit, Chicago, to what we can achieve when we do it together. And we can, and we will deliver for every single person in the city of Chicago. I say this today with a deep belief and conviction that our best and brighter days are ahead of us. We can lead Chicago to a new era. Together, we can build a better, stronger, safer Chicago. We just have to look deep into the soul of Chicago. Can I get a witness? As Reverend Meek said, are you with me or am I by myself? I'm talking about the soul of Chicago. Whether you live in Jefferson Park or Morgan Park or McKinley Park or Gage Park or in Humboldt Park, I'm talking about a revival in the city of Chicago where the soul of Chicago comes alive. A brand new Chicago is in front of us. I can't wait to continue to lead this city towards a future that generations to come will look back and see the soul of Chicago that has made it possible for posterity. Thank you all. My name is Brandon Johnson, and I am the 57th mayor of the city of Chicago.
To deliver the benediction, please welcome the Reverend Jonathan E. L. Brooks.
Today, we who call God many different names and we who choose not to call on God at all Chicagoans of diverse neighborhoods, races, sexual orientations, and languages, today we do not take for granted this peaceful transfer of power. We are grateful for the past leaders who have renewed our city and for the incoming leaders who are dedicated to the promise of our city's future. We rejoice in Chicago, whose murals open our hearts, whose culture stimulates our minds, whose food delights our palates, diversity inspires our souls, and history deepens our roots. As we conclude this inauguration ceremony, as the mayor stated, may we forever be in awe of all that had to happen in our lives to be here at this moment right now. May we be good stewards of time, money, freedom, and all the other blessings we have received. May we bring compassion to the center of our lives and treat all people, no matter how different, with the reverence they deserve. May we work together for common goals, purposes, and unity in our city. May we recognize that our lives will be measured not by the titles we carry, but by the number of hearts we heal and the lives we transform. May we be vigilant so that we never forget where we came from, nor neglect those we are here to serve. And on this day, as our new mayor, Mayor Brandon Johnson, takes the office of responsibility, this day, we bless Mayor Brandon Johnson and his family as they begin their time of service. We bless the members of our city council, their families, and all who serve our city along with them. Lastly, pour down your blessing upon us all, God. Pour down your blessing upon all Chicagoans so that all can flourish in peace, so that all can flourish in prosperity, so that all can flourish in goodness. May we all walk away with the will and courage to move beyond ourselves and leave our noble mark on our beloved communities, city, nation, and all of the earth. And as I close as a good Baptist preacher, let me say to you, now unto him who is able to keep you from stumbling and to present you before his glorious presence without fault and with great joy, to the only wise God our Savior, be glory, majesty, dominion, and power, both now and forever. And all God's people said, amen.
Now, despite what you just witnessed, I know it feels like a church service, but this is actually an official city council meeting. All right. Alderperson Julia Ramirez on the motion to recess.
I move that the City Council stand in recess until Wednesday, May 24th, 2023 at 10 a.m. in the City Council chambers of City Hall.
Alderperson Julia Ramirez has moved that the City Council stand in recess. All those in favor of this motion say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the City Council hereby stands in recess until Wednesday, May 24th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
We have been listening in there to the inauguration of the 57th Mayor of the City of Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson. A service, a ceremony that started at about 10:30 this morning, so lasted about 2 hours here, and also had the swearing in of the City Council as well.
Yeah, and what a service, if you will. This is actually not a church service, it's actually City Council in action. I have to say, though, listening to his speech, it was all about unification. And the thing that really stood out to me, Mike and Anita and Roseanne, was the one point where he turned around to the city council members, the aldermen, and said, this isn't only about me, this is about you. It reminded me 4 years ago when the mayor turned around, Mayor Lightfoot, at her inauguration and scolded the city council. So this was a very different inauguration, all about unity. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, he said, we will disagree, he said to the members of the city council, but I will never question your motives. Again, very different from the now former mayor, and something in which he very distinctly drew differences. He says things are going to be very different on the 5th floor. The style of leadership is going to be very different. I think you can see that freewheeling sense of humor. Here was a guy who made fun of his own payment plan. He said, it broke in the final days of the campaign that he owed the city money and he was on a payment plan. He said, you can't even stop somebody on a payment plan from becoming mayor. But I thought what we didn't hear here was how he's going to raise the money to do all these things that he talked about. As we said earlier before he began speaking, this he has run into a brick wall on some of the big tax increases that he's proposed. $800 million in tax increases that he's proposed during the campaign. A lot of that is not going to happen. And where is the money going to come from for some of this? That, I think, is something that the city council that he's reaching his hand out to is going to have a lot to say about.
I thought it was important, though, that he said he is optimistic about the future, not because he's ignorant of the challenges ahead. So I'm saying now I see that there's going to be challenges in getting these things done, but I still can see that we can get things done if we strike a common chord. He talked about taxes, home ownership, the payment plan, safety, security, disinvestment, education, mental health care, a lot of the things that he's going to have to tackle in the very first days. I like the fact that it was so diverse, from so many different angles. You had a rabbi, an imam, a Hispanic soloist, a Native American acknowledgement, a youth choir, the first youth poet laureate for the city, and also gospel great, the one and only Karen Clark Sheard. It was very collaborative, very unified, and really just all about moving forward.
And now the work begins, right?
Exactly. It was so inclusive and joyful and hopeful, but that's the question now. Now the big job comes.
And just one final thought from me. I point to one thing that he also said, making plain the grim reality that is out there, not just in his home neighborhood of Austin, but in many other parts of Chicago. He says, we do not want a Chicago overwhelmed by violence that will lead to a shrinking of the economy, a shrinking of the city. That is the Chicago that many parts of the city do confront right now. And if he can get that done, if he can deal with that and make significant, tangible progress on that, kudos to him, and I think as I've said earlier, I think he might get reelected by acclaim. Can he do that?
I felt like it was very light in terms of the tone, but at the same time very heavy in terms of the weight of what lies ahead of him, and the challenges that he has before him. And we'll be, of course, talking about that throughout the day, beginning at noon.
But to Sylvia's point, he did reach out that hand to the members of the council to move forward.
And I was pleased to hear that there is a plan. He says that some of the business community are already working to expand this summer jobs program, which he wants to become, some in Springfield want to become a year-round jobs program for kids, for teens. But he said there are plans afoot for some alternatives for Memorial Day and the 4th of July weekend. We have, of course, in recent years, and this is among the reasons that Lori Lightfoot is now out of office, on some of those holidays, we've seen hundreds of people shot. We've seen dozens of people killed. We don't want that to happen.
Right, and we have Memorial Weekend right around the corner.
Okay, well, we are going to let you take it from here, Roseanne.
Okay, well, thank you all. And you saw it moments ago right here, today's inauguration ceremonies for Chicago's new mayor, Brandon Johnson. Let's go back one more time to Dane Placco for more. Hi, Dane.
Hey, Roseanne. Yeah, as you can probably hear behind me, there's still music playing here at the UIC Pavilion. A lot of the people beginning to file out now. I'll step out of the way and let you take a look. Still a few aldermen who were just sworn in up on stage, but there were probably 30,000, 3,500 people filling the pavilion a short time ago. Now they're headed for the exits. Let's show you some of the video from this morning's inauguration. Johnson was sworn in by Cook County Chief Judge Tim Evans. That happening about 11:50 this morning. Johnson's first act was to turn around and applaud the 50 aldermen sitting behind him who'd just been sworn in. This inauguration, as you guys were just mentioning, this inauguration was very much like had the feel of a church service with a gospel choir and a call and response. There was music and dance, and then the swearing in of City Clerk Anna Valencia and City Treasurer Melissa Conyers-Irvin. Johnson spoke for about 35 minutes. He spoke emotionally about the soul of Chicago, bringing the city together, helping the city's poorest communities. A lot of lofty goals, but as Mike said, not a lot of specifics on how he plans to achieve all of that. He also talked about the #1 topic in the election, public safety.
Chicagoans, though, fear for their safety. And when they walk down the streets to get groceries or drive to the gas station, because our city's homicide and violent crime rates have consistently outpaced our peer cities. Our public transit is unreliable and unsafe, so much so that many parents refuse to let their children ride, even when the CTA could be the pathway to opportunity and enrichment. Rent in Chicago continues to go up year after year after year, while the development of both affordable and market rate housing stagnates. And as a result, too many in our city go to sleep unhoused, and too few families know the security of owning their own home.
It's also worth noting that there was a very heavy presence of organized labor at this inauguration. In fact, sitting on the stage with Brandon Johnson was AFT President Randy Weingarten, the American Federation of Teachers President. Of course, Johnson, a former organizer for the Chicago Teachers Union. Also, during the remarks, chants of SEIU broke out at one point, Service Employees International Union. So there was a very strong union presence here, as well as people from the west side and south sides occasionally chanting west side, and they would be responded by south side, south side. So, as we say, things wrapping up here, most of the crowd moving to the exits. Altogether, it took about an hour and 40 minutes with Brandon Johnson delivering his address for about 35 minutes. Roseanne, back to you.
Okay, Dane, thanks so much. Well, Credit Union One Arena was filled with Johnson supporters, and Joni Lum was outside with some reaction to the official start of the Brandon Johnson era.
There were voters, clergy members, families with children here to celebrate the new administration in Chicago. Credit Union One Arena was at capacity, an event designed for the public. Brandon Johnson returned to his educational roots before attending his inauguration. He visited students and community activists on the west side at Michelle Clark Magnet High School, where he received an emotional boost to start his first day as mayor. Johnson is raising his family on the west side, taught school in Chicago, and is the teachers union's mayor. His stop here sends a message.
There's a lot of economic dislocation, divestment in that community. A lot of violence in the surrounding neighborhoods. The problem of guns, and I think that it reflects his commitment and his care about the people who live in that neighborhood, and by extension, the people who live all over the city of Chicago.
Everybody have to be hopeful. This is our city. We want the best for our city. We want him to do well. We all have to embrace him and lift him up.
We not look for Brandon Johnson to turn everything around. It's all of us. And that we've made that mistake before with mayors, with presidents. It's not some individual that's going to turn it around. It's all of us together.
Inauguration Day does represent hope for a lot of Chicagoans who wanted to witness the start of something new in person. Joni Lum, Fox 32, Chicago.
We will have much more coverage of the mayor's inauguration coming up today on our Fox 32 News at 4 and 5. We also have a check of your weather coming right up. Stay with us.
Top level, Chef.
That's what I'm talking about.
We're on the top. I want to stay here.
Do I want to take down Gordon Ramsay? Of course.
We on next level chef, baby. Hurry up! Gordon Ramsay does not do losing.
Next Level Chef, Thursday on Fox.
Fox 32's Good Day Wake Up. No nonsense morning news, weather, and traffic to get you out the door and on your way. 4 to 7 a.m. on Fox 32 Chicago.
This is for the real ones, the fans that live for this. This is the USFL, reborn from the OGs. This isn't some Hollywood knockoff. This is Dragons USDA primetime football. Just ask these guys.
You better recognize the real.
Accept no substitutes.
Knowing the melting point of molybdenum? Cool. Calculating a Dirac equation? Oh yeah, cool. Mastering quantum mechanics? Pretty darn cool. Having her as your neighbor? It doesn't get any cooler than that. The Big Bang Theory. Cool, redefined.
Fox 32 Storm Force meteorologist Mike Kaplan helping you plan for the days ahead.
Prime time for a stronger thunderstorm.
Mornings on Good Day Chicago.
Animal control. 3 guesses why we're here.
Grab the head.
Dude, I'm not touching that thing. I was led to believe this job was mostly dogs.
Can we please be our better selves here?
Yeah, Emily, why don't you talk to my partner?
Joel McHale, Animal Control, Thursday on Fox.
The best way to start your day is Fox 32's Good Day Chicago.
When other Chicago newscasts go to New York at 7,
We keep it real by keeping it local.
Welcome back. You might call him a fair weather fan. A man already on probation for selling fraudulent White Sox tickets was arrested and charged for selling counterfeit Cubs hats. Bruce Lee was arrested last week. Police say undercover officers purchased the counterfeit bucket hats from Lee on a couple of occasions outside Wrigley. He was selling them for $25 a piece. Back in 2021, he was found guilty of swindling White Sox fans out of $1 million by selling nearly 35,000 fraudulent tickets. Now let's check in with meteorologist Tim McGill. It looks like we're going to have a warm-up, sort of.
Yes.
An up and a down, Tim.
We are, and temperatures up and down for us, and you're going to need a legal bucket hat the next couple of days because we're going to have a lot of sunshine out there for sure. Today we're seeing some sunshine filtered through some high, thin clouds. Some sunshine in upper 60s for high. Some of us might touch 70 degrees before the day is over with. It'll be cool along the lakefront. That's going to be the case for the next several days. Warm tomorrow before temperatures tumble. We're going to get one of those pneumonia fronts that comes sweeping in off the lake. The temperatures are going to drop dramatically right along the lakeshore. It looks like probably fall into the 50s after getting up near 80. Best chance of rain comes Friday this week. Most of the week is going to be dry, I think, overall. 66 degrees right now at O'Hare, 66 in Aurora, 69 in Joliet. And look at the temperature along the lakefront, 48 degrees, quite a bit cooler. You'll make it into the mid-50s there at least today. These temperatures about 3 to 8 degrees warmer compared to 24 hours ago. Got a breeze blowing out of the northeast off the lake at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. We're going to see light breezes throughout the day. There's those high, thin clouds out there, some sun getting on through. These clouds will continue to gradually thin a bit as the day goes on, so I'll call it partly to mostly sunny. High pressure keeping us dry today. There's an area of low pressure down across the central plains. It's going to be sweeping just to the south of us, I think, later on tonight into tomorrow morning. Might get grazed with a couple of showers well south of the city, but I think most of us will stay dry during the day on Tuesday. We'll take a look at futurecast and play things out for you hour by hour. Some sunshine for us this afternoon mixed with a few high clouds. And then overnight tonight, the clouds will thicken a bit as that area of low pressure gets closer to us downstate. A couple of showers there well to the south and west of us. Indicated on our forecast model here as that pneumonia front comes through tomorrow. Look at all the sunshine during the middle of the day, but as that front comes through tomorrow evening, maybe a shower well west of the city, but most of us will be dry. And then we clear out for Wednesday. Looks like a beautiful day for us, but quite a bit cooler because our winds will shift off the lake again during the day on Wednesday. So watch for those temperatures to really drop. Today's highs up near 70, as I mentioned, 68 at O'Hare, maybe 58 degrees along the lakefront. That's pretty close to average for this time of the year. Tonight, we'll dip down to the low 50s, maybe a few upper 40s north of the city. And watch these temperatures tomorrow. They get up near 80 degrees around 4, and then within about 2 or 3 hours, that front sweeps on through. Look at the temperatures come crashing down to the 50s right along the lakeshore and as far inland as O'Hare, and that cooler air continues to spread south and westward. By Wednesday, we're looking at high temperatures, quite a bit cooler. about 5 or 6 degrees below average. We'll see highs on Wednesday probably in the lower 60s overall. Today, 69 for the high for us, but about 10 degrees or more cooler along the lakefront. Partly to mostly sunny. Cooler lakeside today, light breezes. Tonight, becoming mostly cloudy, maybe a shower late tonight towards tomorrow morning well south of the city. Most of us mostly cloudy with a low around 51 degrees. In your forecast for tomorrow, mostly sunny skies for us, warm and pleasant temperatures again come crashing down during the afternoon, but before that we're going to get up to 80 degrees for the high tomorrow, which is about 10 degrees above average. And then those temperatures drop again on Wednesday, but lots of sunshine, 63. We're back into the 70s for Thursday, Friday, Saturday or Sunday, at least 70 or more. Cooler lakeside most of the days. Could see a few showers overnight Thursday into early Friday. Not an all-day rain, certainly not a washout, just a few showers Saturday. And right now the weekend's looking mainly dry and mainly mild with highs in low 70s both Saturday and Sunday. Roseanne?
Thanks, Tim. You know, we've spent the last couple of hours watching the inauguration of our mayor. Well, also today, a new interim police superintendent is being sworn in. Retired Chicago cop Fred Waller will take over that position. Waller worked for the department for 34 years before retiring back in 2020. He's back as top cop until a permanent superintendent is selected. And 3 innocent bystanders get caught in the crossfire of a shooting in River North. The 3 men were wounded close to Hubbard and State Streets early Sunday. Police say people in 2 different cars were actually shooting at each other when these men were hit by mistake. One of the victims is in critical condition.
They didn't give me any information, even though I'm his wife. I'm the mother of his daughter. We're new arrivals here. We don't know anybody.
So far, police say they have not made any arrests. Chicago police are also issuing a warning after a string of armed robberies on the northwest side. Now, they happened Sunday morning between 7:20 and 7:50, in that little 30-minute span. In each case, 4 armed men dressed in dark clothing step out of a gray Hyundai Elantra. They approach people on the sidewalk or parking their cars and robbed 10 people in all. No arrests have yet been made. Police are asking for any information. The clock is ticking until the U.S. runs out of money. Another meeting is scheduled for tomorrow between President Biden and top congressional leaders. Republicans want spending cuts before raising the debt ceiling. Meanwhile, President Biden has said the proposed cuts are too steep and is threatening a veto. The president says he's open to other spending caps and is optimistic the country won't default on its loans.
I remain optimistic because I'm a congenital optimist, but I really think there's a desire on their part as well as ours to reach agreement. I think we'll be able to do it.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warns that failing to raise the debt ceiling by June 1st would cause economic and financial catastrophe. Her words.